Good morning. Today, we're getting jacked. What do you see here? This little outline here is the remnants of the original jacking point. What you see here is what's going to replace it. And yes, it's got to be in the same place, but yes, attaching it, as we discovered on the other side, was a pickle. So hopefully on this side, I can talk you through what we're going to do, but it's not going to be easy. Why is it going to be tricky, Nick? Let me show you. Here is where the jacking point goes. You can see the remnants of the old one. This front edge of the sill, that, I reckon we could make it work. This back edge of the sill, imagine the sill going here, there's a bit of a gap here. So the top's definitely got to come off of it. At least a degree of the top's got to come off. But let's get that bugger out of the way. That was distinctly more unpleasant than I thought it was going to be. So what I ended up having to do, obviously I used the finger sander to just clean up the surface, and it let you see whereabouts the two weld lines were. Then I got in with the carbide burr and I just kind of tried to wear away the metal until I could really get behind the welds. And I got behind them and it still wouldn't come down. And so I opened the door and then I saw what I didn't want to see. When I replaced the step, I had welded to it. So I had to pry open along here, as you can see, hello, these 3 or 4 welds, and luckily enough they did pop, but still, yes, I pried them open and I managed to knock this horrible piece of stuff down. But yeah, it's normally only got 2 big spots, here and here. Obviously I'd managed to catch the top of it with every single one of those. So, some work leading to more work, but it might have just simplified things, because now I can tuck the new jacking piece up into that gap. As you can see here, we have the jacking point holding itself up. That little gap has been very handy, and I now have it, if you can see up there, exactly in the same place. It's over exactly the same mark on the front and the back edge, if you can just about see in there, as where the old one came out. So now, the big test. Let's put the sill where it needs to go and see how well that lines up. Ah! Alas, it does not. Now the sill I'm fitting is this one here. The jacking point I am fitting is this one here. Is there a chance that, because it's a Magnum sill, that the jacking point is in the wrong place? Yes, but I do have another theory. See, when I got those panels, I checked both sills and they're both in the same place. So the pressing that comes from Magnum is, as far as I can tell, correct. It could be to do with the age of the year. I suspect that as Minis aged, as weight went in different places, they changed the centre of balance where the jacking point was to reflect the weight in the car. So I'm probably just on the wrong side of the line for the age of the car. There's change over years, there's all sorts of things like that. But that's what I think's happened. But it doesn't matter, because I'm putting it in where I want it. So you can't go exactly where it was, that doesn't matter. Okay, let's get it all lined up. I'm learning from last time. See, I had this in the car and I had to mark whereabouts that tab was there, so you can weld it from the other side. So I'm doing it now. Just, you know, as I'm watching through the camera, which is actually surprisingly difficult, about there somewhere. So you can sort of see where it's actually sitting. So I can get them drilled beforehand. You'd expect it to be exactly square, wouldn't you? But maybe that's just my marking. Maybe it is. No, So it's ever so slightly on the wonk, but I can drill in here and I can drill in here, and those fixings can be in that sill ready to go. And then we've got to kind of line it up on the car. Okay, this is top-notch fiddly, it really is. So I've got the jacking point kind of resting where it should be on top of the sill, and I'm going to hold it up in place vaguely where it should go, about there. We are in the right place there, and I put my finger through the hole, hold it on the inner sill, and as I drop down, that is where we are going. You can put as many marks in as you can. Okay, so we're not too far wrong. The new jacking point is, what's that, about 8mm further back? Doesn't matter, that's where the new one's going. So it's fiddly, but you can see how to do the markings. Right, I want to put some holes through here onto the other side, so that, and I'm going to clean this back so that I can then spot weld the jacking point in place. I'll try and get some drillings up here, but I might end up doing this from the other side. Right, next. Obviously when drilling through here, you really want to make sure, just double check with your measurements, make sure you're not going to end up inside here. I mean, ideally you want to be to the outer edges so that you miss the folded flap of this edge here. You want to try and avoid it if you can, but it's difficult, so you might not. Anyway, that edge there is where the tunnel starts, so I really want to try and get, sorry, probably 3 holes down here. If I can get a 4th one in the middle there, going through that tag, that's not going to hurt. Again, 3 down here, and then if I can get them from this side, I will. I'll try and do maybe 5 across the top. Bear in mind, it was only ever held with 2 spots, 2 spots, 2 spots. I'm holding it in a bit more strongly than it would have been because I'm plug welding. What you end up with on the inside is 3 holes there, 3 holes there, and I managed to get 5 along the bottom, and I put another 3 along the top. Those 5 went through the step sort of fold. Very hard to avoid that, but you know, you want to try and keep as many in there as you can. It's not going to hurt, is it? Right, so I guess we've got to clean and prep for welding. So that's everything sill side ready for weld. We've got bare metal back here, we've got bare metal up there, and we've got bare metal in here. So as I'm sure you're all aware, it's now time to break out the welder. But before we get there, down in that bottom corner there, go and give the thumbs up a smash if you're not already a subscriber. Hit the button and follow along, and yeah, let's get cracking. Positioning this before you fit it, before you weld it, could be tricky. So I'm going to show you what I did on the other side, which made it honestly a doddle. And if you've ever sat there thinking, God, how am I going to do this? You'll kick yourself that you ever wondered that, because it's such an easy option. Jacking point, rest it in place on the sill, get a couple of clamps ready so that you can clamp it in place. We've got 3 there, and we're going to literally lift it up and into place using the sill to position it. Make sure we're in exactly the right spot, just there, and now we're going to clamp it in. we'll have it, that one there, that one there, and we'll have this one down here. Okay, so we make sure all your edges are where they're going to be on the finished article. Just jiggle things around until it is spot on. Obviously the jacking point is a little loose in there, but you can get a little press up on the bottom. It will be exactly where it needs to be. You can see everything that's kind of doing what it needs to, and you can get your first tack on the inside. I have also used an additional prop just to hold this part of the sill up flat where it's going to be. Obviously you want everything to be exactly where it's going to be. So you've got your nice welding points, you can see them through there. You've got the same on the other side, the jacking points where it needs to be. And on the inside, we've actually got one spot exactly where we want it, nice and flush. So we'll get that one in first, and then we'll see if we can find one over the other side. That's got it. Just here is the next best one. Now I'm going to take off the sill because it shouldn't drop. It's well and truly held there now. So now I can start using clamps. Lovely old job. So just for welding inspectors purposes, we've had a lovely burn through here. We've had the same over here, and you can just about catch up the top. We've had the same up there. On my welder, the settings were everything as far up as it will go, pull the trigger and let it burn for a little while. So we've only got 100 amps to play with, and I'm not even entirely sure if we get that. But still, that is now in place. The tap back the other way is just because as I'm knocking the inner sill over to meet the jacking point, it obviously knocks this whole bit of metal over, and I wanted it to be back and flush where it should be. Let's get that sill back on and just make sure it all lines up. Here we are, where we need to be, and the jacking point, as Max Verstappen would say, simply lovely. Next up, I'm going to get those 4 holes there welded. To answer the question of am I going to use a backing piece, the answer is no. I kind of welded through the hole, joined the 2 pieces up, filled it up that side, and then I came over here and I filled it up this side. So I'm just going to repeat that procedure for the other 3, just clamping them tight together, and then we'll see where we are at. So there we have welds on this side, and on the other side. They're actually burning through quite nicely from just one side. It looks like I've got little holes there, but actually it's just a shadow, how the shadow's sitting on there. But anyway, yes, happy with that. You might be able to tell I'm putting something off. And I know I'm going to have to do it, because otherwise I'm going to feel like I've done half a job. And I've done half a job on a lot of stuff. I've got to take the door off. Right, let me show you why. On there, at the very front, you can see all the way through. And I have had many attempts. I've made many pieces that I think will fit in there, but I can't quite fit them with the door in place. And I know it's only 4 bolts, because 4 bolts, maybe that's just another bolt. 4 bolts and a split pin, 5 bolts, whatever that is. But I'm aware that quite often the bolts up here break. All right, I've got a welder, I can fix it afterwards anyway. Now that the door is off, you can clearly see that whole section there of the door frame is missing, because when I put this doorstep in, it had turned to dust. So what I've made to plug the gap is that. And I know it doesn't go all the way up because it's a very, very difficult shape to make, but ideally I really want to plug that gap. Even if I can just get a single spot weld into there, that kind of seals up that edge. I can do a tack onto the bottom of the A panel here, and that's it. It's held in place, the gap's plugged, we can seam seal it, and water won't get in quite so easily. Here we are, all prepped for weld. It slots in nicely, and then something along those lines. Now holding that in place is going to be tricky, and I'll be honest, it was the hardest thing in the world to make, so I don't want to mess it up. So I'd like you to cross your fingers for me. That'll do nicely. So to give you an idea of what it looks like, you can see in there we no longer have a gap. We are seamed across the top and down to the A post. Yeah, I know we've got this ugly bit here. It doesn't add any strength. It's fine. It's not a problem. And underneath, I just off camera just slap some weld across the bottom of it. There's still a gap. If moisture does get in there, right at the far end, there's still a gap for drainage down, but it's literally going to be so you don't get stuff sitting here, and the sill's going to be vented and draining anyway. So right, really pleased with that. So with everything there doing what it should be doing, the only job I've got left here is to fit the other sill, which again feels like seriously monumental. I'm really excited to get that on, get everything done, and then move on to the tunnel, because yeah, I can almost see this car being finished. I'm so excited. I don't know if you're excited for me, but I'm really excited. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Join me next time when we're putting the sill on. And if you haven't already, hit the like, subscribe and the thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one.